What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to the channel.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, Nick, MMA is back in MSG, and do they ever have a great main event? I feel like Madison Square Garden is one of the most iconic arenas in the world, and the MMA main events there have been nothing short of spectacular. We got the rematch. We got all the bad blood. We got all the makings of a mega fight between Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington, two guys who are super evenly matched and cannot stand each other.
Yeah, I love this matchup. And, Conor McGregor is the biggest star in the sport right now, followed by Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. But as of late, these guys haven't been winning all that much. And when you start to lose and your invincibility starts to wear away, then your fights may still be big pay-per-view draws, but they don't have that same feel.
Yeah.
We know for a fact, as of today, Kamaru Usman and Colby Covington are the two best welterweights on the planet, and that hasn't changed since the night that they fought the first time.
Yeah.
Those two guys, they can't get it right, but they know they're going to put on an amazing show. If you look at them, Colby Covington's not giving any compliments away, and he doesn't do that. He doesn't break the mold from what he's created, and I love that. But Kamaru Usman is showing a lot of, respect. He's like, look, Colby is the toughest guy. He made me dig the deepest out of anybody I've ever fought. And if that's the way he feels, then Colby feels the same way. He's just not going to vocalize it. But I love this fight. It has all the big fight feels that I look for in a fight, where I know come Saturday night, I'm going to be sitting there with sweaty palms on the edge of my seat, like a little bit shaking, waiting for these guys to walk out there. When I hear Bruce Buffer announce their name in MSG, it's going to feel like a special event. But God, when you break this fight down, you have to go back and watch the first one, because it was truly one of the most violent, one of the most dirty, but one of the greatest fights in UFC history, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I feel like it's been a fight that the story has been rewritten so many times, right? Like that was one of the closest fights I've ever seen. It was one of the best fights I've ever seen.
The commentators were saying 2-2 going into the fifth, and I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, me too. And the funny thing is, now it's become Kamaru steamrolled Colby Covington in a lot of people's opinion, and that just didn't happen. Right. I believe Kamaru Usman is the best champion that the UFC has right now, but I believe nobody is a tougher challenger than Colby Covington.
Right.
As you said, Kamaru Usman is taking a totally different approach, and sometimes when you're the champion, especially a dominant one like Kamaru, where you're defending multiple times and now you're starting to have rematches against some of the people that you beat before, you don't really have to take that chip on your shoulder sort of approach and do all the trash talking and stuff like that. Colby Covington, hate him or love him, he doesn't break character, and I respect him for that. Like he's like a WWE character. He has taken his lane and he's riding in it, whether you hate him or whether you love him. He's done all of his camp at MMA Masters. He's kind of had MMA Masters is not as big of a camp or as established of a camp as American Top Team, where he was before, but he's getting personalized, coaching from Daniel Valverde. He doesn't have all of the drama in the gym. There's a lot of Brazilians that train at American Top Team, and it's kind of hard to say what you said on the mic in Brazil and then go back home and hang out with Amanda the Lioness and Thiago Santos and some of the other monsters that train at Top Team without having some backlash. So he's got all the drama away from him. He said, I've been focused. He's only had one fight since then, but he looked very dominant against Tyron Woodley. The thing that surprises me the most is the odds are pretty spread on this one. Kamaru's a minus 300 favorite, and Colby's a plus 245. My gut is telling me Kamaru's going to win this fight, but I feel like it's a lot closer than that. The only thing I can say is maybe they're factoring in the fact that Kamaru has ascertained a lot of knockout power in this stage of his career, and maybe they think we're going to see a finish here, but I'm seeing a dogfight to the end.
Yeah, I want to go with decision, but I think they're going to come out just like they did the first time. There's not going to be a feeling out period of a half a round or a first round. Colby Covington is going to come across the cage and try to kill Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
Kamaru's going to come out a little bit slower, and that's why I think that the first round will likely go to Colby. I think that he's going to do that, turn the volume up like he always does, and just throw punches and bunches and kick you. And he might try to shoot for takedowns this time. There was no need to. They could have just done a boxing match last time, right?
Not a single takedown attempt by either of them, and they're both elite level wrestlers in the first fight.
Right. So I think that maybe if you're trying to strategically plan for this fight and to beat Kamaru Usman, and you have the wrestling pedigree that Colby has, maybe you go for a takedown or two and hope that you get one. But I feel like they're just going to avoid it, and they're going to keep it standing, give the people exactly what they want to see, because I think there's nothing that these two want to do more than knock each other out.
Yeah.
And, a choke would be pretty cool, but, man, knocking either one of them up and out and shutting them both up is exactly what they want to do. I think, with the betting odds, I'd go Colby Covington if I was betting on this fight.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. I like that. Seeing him at minus 250 or plus 250, I like that a lot. I would bet money on that fight. But Kamaru's really, really crazy. But at this point, I feel like there's a slight difference in hunger. And Colby has not quite reached the pinnacle like Kamaru has. He's still as hungry as he was. Kamaru Usman's beaten everybody. He's become a megastar. He's become ultra, wealthy, and he's doing all the things that he wanted to do. So I don't think that he's taking his foot off the gas. I think he's still training like a madman. I think he's still maybe the most athletic, best in shape champion that we have in the entire UFC, and I think he is the most dominant champion. But after a while of being the guy, I think you might lose a little bit of your edge, and I don't think Colby Covington has lost any bit of that edge. I think he wants to beat Kamaru Usman for the legitimate title and be the world champion, and I'm kind of leaning towards Colby in this one.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think this could be a pick'em fight. I could see this going either way. I really think it's going to come down to we know that Colby's got one of the most ridiculous gas tanks in the entire organization,
right?
And his volume is insane. Is Colby's volume, because I think Colby's going to throw more punches than Kamaru, is Colby's volume going to outdo Kamaru's power? Because we know Kamaru's going to land his power shots.
Yeah.
How's it going to affect Colby, and is it going to put him on the ground? And if so, do certain of those rounds become a 10-8? Do we see maybe a TKO, or do we see Colby accumulate a ton of shots, maybe bust the eye of Kamaru open, so his vision's a little messed up, so he can't land and deliver that power how he wants to? I think it's going to come down to volume versus power. This is where the fight is going to take place.
Yeah.
I do think you're right. I think Colby's going to try to come out before the gates of the cages are even locked. He's coming out to try to take Kamaru's head off. Yeah. He's going to have to be held back by security and his coaching team when they're facing off in the octagon. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be that type of fight.
Right.
I'm gonna pick Kamaru to win. I just think he's operating on another frequency right now, and I think Trevor Whitman is about as good as coaching gets right now in the game. But like you, I wouldn't put money on Kamaru with minus 300. I would tend to favor Colby in that, because I would roll the dice on Colby at plus 250. I think he's got as good a chance as anybody at beating Kamaru, and that first fight was very close. I'm super keen to see what Valverde and the MMA Masters team has helped do to evolve his game.
Yeah, his striking actually looks better, and that's saying a lot, because it was very good leading up to that fight.
Yeah.
And it's always been good, but I think it actually looks even better. And Kamaru Usman, if he wasn't such an experienced monster, right, and just knows how to deal with the process of showing up to MSG and fighting and all that stuff, I would be a little bit more concerned, seeing as Trevor Whitman's got a pretty busy night himself.
Yeah.
He's coaching Justin Gaethje, followed by Rose Namajunas, followed by Kamaru Usman, all the last three fights of the night.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be with his coach until they walk out, essentially.
Yeah.
There's going to be some time before the big stuff happens. But once Kamaru gets his hands wrapped, he's going to be back there by himself, alone, maybe with his other teammates and his other coaches. But I don't really like that. I think that you kind of need your nucleus. And if he wasn't such a vet, I would say that would actually play a major role in this whole scenario. But, Kamaru, like I said, he's just a monster. So he'll deal with that pressure, no problem. I think the best chance of a finish for Kamaru Usman is late, just like it was last time. Because sometimes, even though Colby has a ridiculous gas tank, when you throw that much volume in the first, second, and third round, by the time fourth and fifth roll around, even if you do have a lot of energy, you don't have the energy you had before, and that's when you could potentially get knocked out. And that's why I think quality over quantity is what Kamaru Usman's going to look for as far as the striking goes. He might lose some rounds due to volume, but if he gets that big shot like he landed on Jorge Masvidal or something like that late in the fight, it could shut the lights out on Colby, because we've realized lately he doesn't just hit you hard, he hits you in the right place from the right position really hard, and that's usually what puts you down. It's not the guy that can run up to the punching machine and hit as hard as he can,
right,
but the guy that can get to his opponent's side and land something really fast at a really good angle. And that's if you think Kamaru's going to win, I'd go with a late finish. If you think Colby's going to win, I think that, we're going to, and this is one other part of that. These two fighters have done more than enough for the MMA fans and the UFC fans around the world. Now they're going to double up and give us even more. But I feel like we get spoiled as UFC fans sometimes, and something's telling me that Colby's going to win this fight, and we're going to see a trilogy. We're going to get one of the most epic trilogies the UFC will ever see.
Yeah.
In Colby Kamaru Part 3 next year at some point, and that's going to be a big, big event. So I'm going Colby. I think it's going to be a TKO stoppage in the 5th round or a decision for Colby. I'm not really sharp on either one of them. I don't really fully believe either one of them. But I'm going Colby because I feel like there's just something in the air that's telling me Colby's going to get the job done.
I can see it. I'm going to stick with Kamaru. I'm going to stick with 5th round TKO. I think it's going to be a tougher fight, but I think it's going to go down just the same way it did before. I think his power is going to accumulate. But as you said, when you're being economical with your shots and looking for the right shot, sometimes when you're looking for the knockout and the knockout doesn't come, you lose the decision. Yeah. They say that all the time in boxing. When you go hunting for the knockout, you either get it or you lose on the scorecards.
Right.
So Kamaru's got to be very careful with that. He can't be too economical with his shots and lose 5 rounds and then lose his belt by decision. So I think he will be aware of that. I think he'll be looking to deliver power often and at the right angles. And the Wittman thing is very interesting because it is going to be back to back to back. And if Kamaru wasn't such a dominant champion, it would be a cause for concern for me. Also, Trevor Wittman being the coach he is, I'm sure he's got that sorted out. It's not just him. He's the guy that everybody knows in public, but there's people behind the scenes, that work with these guys, and there will be somebody in the locker room that's a calming presence that can help warm Kamaru up, things like that. And I think it won't affect him in that regard. So I'm going to stick with Kamaru, 5th round TKO.
Very nice. MSG is going to be buzzing this week.
Oh, it's going to be wild. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Nick and I are split on this one, so you know what that means. You got to settle the debate in the comments for us. And guys, if you haven't already, a subscribe to this channel and a like on this video helps us out tremendously. And if you listen to audio podcasts, check the Barnhill Brothers out there as well. Have a wonderful day, guys.
Peace.